Hello, Library to Laners. I'm here in Much Wenlock Library and I'm interviewing my first local resident, who I know as Jimmy Moore, the amazing runner, because I see him running all over Wenlock with his running shorts. You've done it for years, haven't you? And then you're out walking the dog, so as a dog walker. And Jimmy came to Wenlock in 1940 as an evacuee from Liverpool. And you've been here ever since then, have you? So tell me a little bit about how Wenlock was when you came and where you used to play as a kid.
Well, when we came here, what people don't realise, there was hardly any red brick houses. There was no estates. The only red brick houses was Havelock that was just been built.
Oh, right.
And the Crescents.
Yes.
Heading towards the hospital.
Yeah.
They were all small brick cottages and little old dears in them as
Where
well.
did you live then?
We were evacuated to the black and white house in Shite in Queen Street.
Oh, right.
Queen Street, the big black and opposite the old farmyard.
Oh, yes.
Used to be a farmyard.
Yeah.
That's where we come from.
Where the Abbey Well is, where the St Owen's Well is. St Owen's Well is, that house.
That's
oh,
right,
wow.
Yes, we were there.
Were you on your own, or had you got a brother with
My
you?
brother.
Oh, wow.
And be quite honest, there was almost 100 evacuees came, and we were all from the dock area.
Right, of Liverpool.
And to come to a little small place like Much Wenlock with little dear old ladies and what have you, they didn't know what had hit them.
Oh.
Plus the fact that, putting it bluntly, we were a little bit like hooligans, basically, letting the pigs out and pinching the apples and all that business.
So did you play in the fields nearby then, did you?
There was 8 of us in the one house, 4 at the bottom of the bed and 4 at the top.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we was in the fields. One little story, the Bridge North Road on the right-hand side going up was just a whole row of conker trees.
Oh,
and
nice.
the lane by the opposite the garage. That was well known as Conker Lane.
Oh, I know that little lane. Yeah.
So in about 1947-48, they chopped them all down.
Oh.
That's when they all went missing. Then all went down.
Oh no.
And that was the end of them. But we found more in the parks.
Yeah.
Where I planted the walnut trees.
Yeah, tell me about these walnut trees, because Bill, the other dog walker, has been telling me about scrumping and filling his pockets with walnuts in a place where we can't walk anymore, can we? Because it's all private land now behind the private, but it used to be the old monk walks.
Yes.
So go on, tell me how you used to get into there then. Was that near the sheep dip place at the bottom of the priory? How did you access that walk?
Bottom of the priory, and further up, about 100 metres further up, there's another road in. That was the footpath through there. And the sign
I always think it looks beautiful in there.
Was taken off us actually. That led down to the Monk's Walk, where the first job I had as a just broke into 15-year-old.
Wow.
Of planting the walnut trees for old Mr. Motley.
Yeah, so you actually planted those trees that Bill then came and filled his pockets with. Yeah.
They were big as pea sticks. That's all.
Oh, gosh.
And I planted another 4, what we call along the bottom of the park.
So that must have been 1955 they got planted then, if you were 50. Were you 15, you said? And you were... Oh, no, you came to Wenlock in 1940, didn't you?
I was 1950 when I planted them.
1950 when you planted them.
I was only 14. I left school at 14. That was
my dad,
the Christmas term, and then
you planted those
1950
trees.
1950 came, and I was at work at the first week at school. The first week at work. 1950, and that was at the Abbey as a gardener's boy. Oh. And my first job, as I said, was planting
how wonderful.
The trees.
Yeah. So you were in the gardening in the Abbey, and you knew where those trees were. Now, I wonder if you could help me with something else, because Bill on the corner of Station Road, he also told me that his wife remembers from when she was little that there was another well at the bottom of the wall where the Priory wall boundary is onto those fields. So as you come down Priory Lane, you look right to where the sheep dip now is, where they're always doing the clipping. that underneath that wall there used to be underneath that wall there used to be a well there. Have you got any memory of that at all, Jimmy? Yeah.
No, there was a stream there.
Yeah, the stream.
And on the Monk's Walk, there was there was a little bridge.
Yeah.
Underneath the Monk's Walk.
Right, but you don't remember a well or anything there?
Not really, no.
Because we've got a little bit of a mystery about that one, because somebody has told me that they remember a well there that they used to get water from.
The Motley allowed the school. I was about 9 at the time, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
They allowed the school to go swimming in that pool.
Oh.
We called it the Peter Pan pool.
Oh.
Because this is right to the bottom of the...
Yeah, is that right in the bottom? Yeah.
And there was an island there, and there was a statue, we used to call it Peter Pan, and a little summer house.
Oh.
And we used to go swimming in there from school on a Friday afternoon.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that idea that, you could actually access, because you can't get into those pools now, can you? Because it's private property.
No.
And they always look so tempting, and I'm always so sad that we can't go on those walks anymore, you know.
Well, I broke the rules. I went on it a few years back because
good for you.
when it was open, I took a photograph, and it turned out to be quite good.
Oh, lovely. As you remember it.
It looked really good. That was about when I started taking photos, somewhere around 60s, something like that. So I went back again just to see that I took a photo of it. And they moved the trees, chopped the trees, and made it into a big giant pool.
Right.
You can probably just see it from the road.
Do you know whether the walnut trees are still there then?
The walnut trees are still there.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
But they're all
nice.
twisted and bent because it was all in rock ground.
Right. So
those in the park, a really big, strong tree. I should have brought me me phone, because I've got photos of it.
Oh, have you? Oh, I'll come and I'll meet up with you another time, and we'll, if you can, I'll give you information about how you can put that on, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So what about...
If you walk down the Bull Ring...
Yeah.
Past the Abbey, about 100 metres there's a gate.
Yes, yeah.
And there's a round woods on this. If you look down across the park, you can see 4 walnut trees. You can see it off the road. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to have a look. Did you plant the horse chestnuts behind the station, the old station as well? Did you have anything to do? Because I know one of those died not long after we've been in Wenlock 16 years, and one of those is the biggest one's gone, but they've planted new ones around there, so they were quite good for conkers, weren't they? But they're fenced in now in that little bit.
They chopped that big one down.
Yeah, because that had disease, didn't it?
Crossed my mind. Oh dear, it's gone now. Trees.
Yeah, any other special trees that you remember that you used to play in, or places that you used to go?
One just flashed in my mind. It would have been very interesting for you.
That's all right.
Old age.
That's all right. I'm so excited that you actually planted those walnut trees that Bill had told me about. And I never knew that about you, that you'd actually been an evacuee from Liverpool in the war. My goodness. And then you've stayed all this time, and you're one of our local legends, aren't you now?
We used to, believe it or not, we used to pinch the wood off the old racing pavilion that was on the race ground.
Oh, on the race course opposite the old cemetery.
It was broken down, and but we used to get told off, and we would take some of the wood to make sledges. To sledge on the Walton Hills. Yeah. Oh, it's great sledging on there, isn't it? Ones that they wouldn't be able to pull one that we made.
Well, I've still got one like that, what my dad made, and I made Sam take it up when he was little, and I tell you what, it was hard work.
The racetrack was still there.
Was it?
Yeah, the barrier fence.
I'd love to have seen some photographs of that race course, actually.
The water jump.
Was that there?
We used to get newts out the water jump.
Where was the water?
Now, I've been asked this before because a chap
I'm just
wrote
thinking
a-
where the
wrote
water
a
would the
book
brook.
on-
Yeah, where would the brook would have been? Because there was one obviously coming down the high street, and there was one going down the back of Barrow Street. But where would the brook have been? Would it be near where the primary school is? Somewhere around
Oh, yes,
that.
it's below that.
Ah,
Yeah. But there was always water in it, but there was
Yeah.
no brook there.
right.
So,
But-
um,
Was it like a standing pool or something? A little bit of a wet area then, if the newts were
yes,
there.
there was the jump was there.
Wow.
Was there
Yeah.
at the head, that made up hedge.
Yeah.
It was opposite the gaswork. There's a path to the houses
Yes. Yeah.
down there. If you walk down to the end, and I can guarantee you about 50 yards to your left was where the jump was.
Ah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Talking to you now, I can realise that you've still got a bit of a Scouse accent going on.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
I like that you've kept it. It's a bit like me with my Yorkshire one and Malcolm Gribbin, because he's another Liverpudlian, but he's been away more time than he lived there, I think. But
Yeah.
we like to keep our accents, don't we? Yeah.
I was going to tell you,
Yeah.
the trees opposite the Wheatland garage,
Yes.
I helped plant those
Ah.
around the same time, and I was broken hearted. They chopped them all down a couple of months last month, I think.
I
Or
watched.
something like that.
There was one left. I know they took a lot out, and I thought,
Yeah.
why are they taking those trees out?
Mm,
I couldn't understand it, whether they were diseased or not, because it also
that's what I
provided
wanted to tell you. Yeah.
shade for the cattle, didn't it? Because the
Yes.
cows were in there.
Yeah.
Have they taken the last one? There was one left.
Yeah.
There's one in there, and they'd taken the others out. So I wonder whether there was. But I hate it when trees get taken down. I must admit, I'm a bit of a tree fan. So if I see any trees being cut, I get very distressed. Oh, so what?
And,
Yeah, go on.
We had Hills Farm,
Right.
opposite to where we were evacuated first,
Yeah.
and this went on for 30, 40 years. The chickens were let loose, and they would just walk all around the town.
Down the
basically.
town. Yeah.
Anywhere they walk around, yeah.
Where did you go to school? Which was the school when
We
you were
had
at
a
school?
homemade school to start with for the evacuees, because we were all Catholics, and it was strong in those days.
Oh.
We couldn't mix.
Oh my goodness.
But in the end, it got that bad that we went in the morning and they went in the afternoon.
Really?
For a short time.
Oh, you can't imagine it,
And
can you?
a lot of the
Shocking.
lads went back. They just couldn't accept some of the older boys who were 13 and 14, we call them men, and they could be
Yeah.
really little tots.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And a lot of them went in no time at all. We found ourselves about half a dozen of us. Everybody had gone, like,
Oh
so
wow.
we was in Wenlock School down the Bullring
Yeah.
for the rest of our
Now I've heard my lovely old neighbour Brian Skoltok, who's just died
I know
recently.
Brian,
I mean, he used to tell me some great stories about how when he lived up on the
Bridge North
estate, on the Bridge North Road, and he used to come down the back of the George Shut, and they used to siphon the barrels of cider used to be out the back,
Yes.
didn't they?
There's
And they
another
used to
story.
take a little siphon and
Yeah.
have a sup of the cider on your way to school. Is that true?
That's true. Plus the fact that when we used to go to the pictures on a Saturday night, and
Hello.
when the news came on,
Yeah.
we wasn't interested in that. We all run out with our tubes up to the back of the
Oh,
George. No.
and did the pub landlord know that you were doing that?
I'm not sure.
Because it seems like all the kids knew about
Yeah,
it.
well, a few years later, when we packed that in, a few years later, we heard that one fella, a teenager, was taken to hospital with.
Oh, we had a bit too much cider.
Yeah.
Right, we'll have to have a word with Ben at the George and make sure he doesn't put his
Yeah.
barrels out the back.
Charlie was the fella that made the apples,
Oh, yeah.
the cider.
Yeah, because but we do a lot of apple pressing because of Andy being
Yeah,
part of
we
the
used to
Apple
stand and
Trust.
watch him do
Yeah,
all that.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's brilliant.
Still young then when they were making that.
Yeah. So what other things can you tell me about maybe footpaths that you used to walk on that we can't walk on anymore? You know, or any areas that are probably, things are much more built up. So do you remember the crescent going up opposite the hospital then? Was that all fields, you know, where the school is now? Do you remember it being different there?
No, that was fields.
Yeah.
It was fields, but there was always a footpath around through the Sitch copy stand, Sitch copy, the hospital copy.
Yeah. Oh,
Behind
you
there,
used
there
to
was
be able
always
to
a
go through the
footpath
footpath.
there.
Yeah.
Always, we used to go, when we were kids, we always used that to go around.
Yeah. Well, I've been in there a few times, actually. I know they've fenced it in now, but when I first came to Wenlock, you could walk through there, because I used to go through that with Holly. And that's a really interesting area, isn't it? Because it's got little bits of areas where they've mined as well and quarried.
Yeah.
So you don't know exactly what it used to be like,
No,
but you can see it because
in the
of
Cutlands, you know, they've got a footpath now up past the new woods that they built, and then along the side of the railway.
Oh,
From
yes,
the
yes,
bullring,
yes,
to that
yeah,
one
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it used to be straight across to the bridge,
Right,
straight across the field.
yeah.
That was the official footpath. Yeah.
You know, along the railway, this is another question I've got a little bit of a quandary. I know that at the bottom of, if you're coming up the Priory Lane where it goes down to Downs Mill and then you hit the footpath, there's a spring there, which is where I'm presuming that's Shady Well, where Shadwell Quarry got its name from. But and there's always a wet area there going onto the field where the farmer has his Highland cattle.
Yeah.
But if you go down the railway line a little bit further, there's an area where there's a bridge and a kind of hollowed out area where the kids go down and have little fires now. I think it's their den. But I can't understand what that bridge was for, because it's not going anywhere. It's not going to a tunnel at the other side. And there wasn't a road that came in it. It's just filled in, but there's an archway.
Something to do with the quarry.
Ah, because I wondered if on one of my maps, my old map here that I've got, I'll just put this up onto the video so people can see it. 1925. It says that there was a railway. No, not the railway well. Sorry, that's up at Havelock Crescent. The Shady Well was actually near where that bridge is in the railway line, and I can't work out whether there was an actual well building there, you know, a housing, or whether they're just talking about the spring further down.
When we used to go playing in the summer, we always went down there for a drink.
Ah.
There was an old tin iron box thing there.
Really?
And
that was where the proper well bit was?
Yes, and that was right opposite.
Where
you know where there used to be a level crossing from the bull ring across into the quarry.
Right.
Into the lime quarry.
Right.
There used to be a level crossing across there. If you walk down the bull ring.
Yeah.
And
from the bull ring along the road or along the railway line now? Are we on the railway line?
Come across the railway line, and when you come to the.
Was that where you're talking about where you had a drink? So it's not down near Shadwell Quarry?
You mentioned it before, the field behind it was always flooded a little bit.
Yes,
That was down there. We used to go down the slope.
And there was
And the water was ice cold and it's clean as crystal. That's where we all...
So that must have been Shady Well.
That was where we used to get our drinks from.
Right, that's good, because that's what I was trying to work out. There was a little bit of a difference between the map and where the map says the well's further along the railway line, but the spring is actually at the corner of that. Do you remember then, this is my another, I'm great, I'm so glad you came in, because I've got all these questions.
Further along the line,
a
couple of 100 metres possibly, on the left-hand side going towards the rock house, there's a big, small quarry face.
Yes.
And that's Bob's Rock.
Oh.
We used to go skating on there, homemade skates in the summer because that
used to freeze over.
Don't ask me why it was called Bob's Rock.
Somebody called Bob obviously claimed
it's still there to this day.
Oh, brilliant.
The same place. And somebody's been using it for tipping junk and rubbish in it now.
Did you remember the railway well at all? So as you come up, going out towards Stretton Road before you get up to the steep bit going down to Harley Bank, and South Field Road would join that, the railway well was at the top of that area. Coming up past the old pound and the old garage on the left, somewhere on that corner where you could then go left up to Stretton Road or carry straight on up towards Shrewsbury. Somewhere on the corner on the left, on the right, sorry, was the railway
Spout, we used
well.
to call that.
The Spout.
The Spout, yeah.
Do you remember where it was?
Yeah,
Is
exactly where you're saying.
Is it hidden under where all the ivy is at the moment? Because I can't. I've been having a little rummage to see if I could find out where it was, but I can't find it.
Come round under the bridge. Used to be a bridge across there, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, that's all long gone.
Under the bridge. Just on the corner. As you come round the corner, the footpath, and just back a little bit.
Right.
The Spout.
I'll have to have a little look for that.
That used to be a drinking place and all.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
We knew all these little places.
there's a lovely old photograph of that in one of the books, but people have asked me where it was, and I can find it on the map, but I think it's even better if somebody remembers it, isn't
Now
it?
then, further up the railway line, heading towards Church Stretton area,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
up there was a reservoir.
Okay.
We used to go swimming in there. Filthy, dirty place.
Oh.
But we had nowhere else,
No.
and that was it.
Was that on the left or the right?
On the right-hand side going up.
Ah.
And it was always continuous because they had dams they could open and close.
Yeah.
So every now and again somebody would come along
So
and
it's sluice gate.
let some of it out and
Yeah.
again.
And was that on Stretton Road then, going
On
up?
the railway line.
Oh, just on the railway line
Yeah.
itself.
If somebody shouted, the train's coming, we'd all hide.
Oh. Can you remember anything about the big red house on Linden Avenue? The big red house on Linden Avenue. You know, the big red house that's as you come on Station
Yes.
Road. So that I know that was a big estate and that there was a tanner's yard at the bottom, but I'd heard that was a hotel for the station. Was that a hotel at some point? Do you remember that?
I would say no, because we had our school dinners there.
Did you?
Yeah, that was the cooking. We used to march up to there for the school dinners, and we
Wow.
were 10 or 11. I was then.
In the
And
Linden
34,
house, in the big red
44.
house.
Yeah, in
Oh.
there, yeah. And
Wow.
we used to, after our dinner, we used to explore, sneak away, a couple
Yeah.
of us,
Yeah.
and go up the stairs because it was a windy stair then.
Oh yeah, it's a big house,
Beautiful
isn't it?
place then.
Yeah.
And there was nothing in the rooms or anything upstairs.
It was just used for the school dinners. Oh,
Yeah.
I've never heard that
You know,
before.
coincidence,
Yeah.
I worked on the building site, and that was one of the sites I worked on, and we converted that into 3 flats.
Right, which is
underneath.
yeah.
There were cellars underneath,
Okay.
and one of the fellas found a bottle of wine actually
Ah.
in the corner. It was
Oh.
all shelves.
And
We
did you open
We
it?
could get in. I don't know what happened. No, you wouldn't let it go, no.
Oh.
So we were told to fill in. So we was filling all the rubble that was finished through the openings. There was 4 openings.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean to say that the middle was filled in. So I always wonder if ever that place,
Oh, interesting, isn't
it's
it?
all
Yeah.
empty underneath.
Well, because down in the bottom, you remember my friend Lucy, who used to live at Nearbeck, and when she used to have her dog used to be a kind of terrier type thing, and I know you used to know her because we chatted when we first came to Wenlock. When the people moved into her house and had their extension, where they did some work at the side where the garage part used to be, I went down and there was an old tanning well. So there was an old well, you know, like a vat, you know, when they
Let
made
me
the
read you
circular things.
something.
Yeah, go on.
When we were working there, we had to dig a trench across the back of to build a retrainer wall about so high.
Yeah.
We were digging away there. My mate that was by my side, he pick went in there.
Ah,
So we rooted around. It was a big well. Covered with a
right.
sheet of tin.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
wasn't tin, it was steel in then. But yeah.
So that was at the back of the red house.
The back of the red house.
Right.
We pulled that
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
And
Wow.
there was a 4-inch lead pipe
Oh.
going all the way down.
Well, the brook, of course,
We
goes
hooked
underneath
the
it.
JCB to it and pulled it up.
Oh, did you? Oh, so the water probably is sitting under there, because that, of course, was a tannery at the bottom of there,
So that was
and the
where
old brewery, the old
where the
Wheatland
well
Brewery
was,
as
yeah.
well, because that's where Brian's Skoltock's buses used to be. That was the old brewery, to which the house that I live in was part of the Wheatland Brewery, and I think it
Yeah.
was a sort of grain store, because it originally was a Georgian building that had a crook frame roof. And it was converted, I think, in 1895 into the two houses, but it was just like a barn, you know. It had the triangular windows and the air vents. You can see that still in the brick. So I've got a lovely old photograph where there's a trackway coming up the back, so a horse and cart pulling up the back of our house, and through the middle between us and our neighbours, so it's just 1 and 2, there's an archway, and probably that's where they brought, you know, I don't know, bottles in, or whether that was where they bottled the beer, or whether it's where they dried the host, I don't know, but it was part of the Wheatland Brewery, and the whole estate was owned by the Red House.
In the same area, the Red House area, there's the house they just done the house.
Yeah, they're always doing some work on it.
The tunnel goes right through on the railway line into the Cutlands.
Really?
Yeah.
From the Red House?
We used to pinch a candle from the one shop and we'd go in.
Wow.
And we used to regular thing to explore, go right through into the Cutlands.
I bet that was a dare, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow. I know I've talked to people who, they said they used to go under the brook that came down off the Crescent, down the first bit of Station Road, you know, onto the yard where I live in Wheatland Grove. And that was, people were chatting about actually going under the drains, you know, and walking through where the brook was. That was a dare. So it was a similar thing. Was it watery where you were going in the tunnel as well?
Yes, yeah.
That's how you got your thrills in the olden days.
Well, the brook is still running at the bottom of the houses now, Sharrington Street.
Yeah,
the back of their houses.
all this underground water.
There was a footpath through one of the farms. Law's house, Mrs. Law.
I don't know where that one. Yeah,
They've got
some, I'm
the
sure
old
the people.
stables there. I took photographs of the old stables. I've still got 'em.
Oh, I'd love to see some of your photos.
There was a footpath, and there was a bridge made of sleepers from the railway
Right. Yeah.
into the Cutlands, and that was official footpath through there.
Through there. Yeah.
That's in the middle of the town, basically.
So when you say the Cutlands, all right, for people who are
Somebody
listening
asked
to
me
that,
before, I told somebody said, "Where's the Cutlands?"
where? Yeah, when you're saying the Cutland, let's describe where that is so that people understand so if you've the Red House.
As you come, don't forget the Red House.
Yeah.
Come down the Bull Ring.
Yeah.
You got fields on the right-hand side. As you
After
go
the
down.
Priory or on the left?
No, on the left.
Yeah,
As you go
on the
down,
left, yeah.
That's all the Cutlands.
That's all the Cutland. But you think that there was a tunnel from the Red House through there that came into that?
There, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, where all the Highland
Cutlands
cattle are.
I think the Cutlands is not the correct word. It's something to do with the house at Sharrington Street.
Yes, there's a
Hey.
Cutler's house, isn't there, on there? Because the
Cutler's
Cutler's
house,
house,
yes.
yes, that's it. Because I know it was one of the open gardens. Because I love those fields with the
Well, my
Highland
mate lived
cattle.
in a farm there. His dad owned a farm in Sharrington Street.
Because
Yeah.
there's a dairy, wasn't it? The first building was the dairy on the left. Because I know Timmy, you used to do the milk round. That's where he remembered getting the milk from. The first house on Sharrington Street on the left after the railway bridge was the old dairy.
Yeah, Massey's.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the old dairy. So
Yeah, he was
the
a
field,
bookmaker as well.
the field behind was the Cutland. He was a bookie as well, was he?
Not the field behind. Where are you?
You're talking about the field behind as you come down the bull ring.
Another thing to tell you, if you walk across the games ground, the Linden Walk, then there's a railway line,
Yeah,
then there's fields.
yeah,
They're the Cutlands.
right.
They go stretch to the Bull Ring.
Yeah, we're
We've got
coming
some
at it
bulls
from
in
a
there
different. Yeah, we're
sometime.
coming at it from a different direction. Yeah, so it's
They're the Cutlands.
Ah, right. So the other side of the road. Yeah,
And
that's
as you
where.
say, something to do with the house that was there. They used to. It was a market of some sort for
Right.
selling cattle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was an old trackway across part of the field behind the railway line as well. You can see it in the field as a dip if you were coming up the Priory Road on the left, looking towards the back of the station, well, what it would have been where the trains came in. There's a definite groove in the field. Do you remember that as a trackway going up to that, or is that an old road?
The only one we know is from that kissing gate.
Right.
Diagonally.
The footpath. Oh,
No,
okay.
They've made it straight up.
Yeah, because I can see that there's some sort of earthworks in that field, and I can't work out what it was. It's obviously man-made, but I don't know where that came from. So that's another little mystery.
Yeah.
Oh, anything else you want to tell me, Jimmy?
No.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear all this. I think I could spend all day.
Yeah.
I can pause this a bit, and we can always come back if you think of anything if you want to.
We used to climb up the windmill.
Did
as
you?
kiddies.
From the outside or the inside?
The outside. Yeah. And the top beam, it's still got the scorch marks on it.
Oh.
But it was struck by lightning at one time from it. The history book says.
Yeah, so that's what it was like,
And
yeah.
the fireplace
Was in it?
was there. We used to have fun climbing up there. And the quarry was behind.
Yeah.
And you could follow the track down and from the windmill.
Yeah.
There was a track you could go right
Go down.
into the quarry.
It
It
would,
in the old days. Since then they blew it all.
it wouldn't have been as deep as it was then, would it? You know, when
No,
you were talking.
No,
yeah.
no.
Because it's so quarried out. It's hard to imagine what the shape of that hill at the back of the windmill would have been like, isn't it? I think it's such a shame that, you know, I wonder what the rest of that hill would have been like.
When we were gangs, the kids would say, "I see you at the back of the windmill," and that was it. That was the
So
back
that
of
was
the
you.
windmill.
That
It
was where
called
you.
that.
Yeah. So that was where you hung out and met and played.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Because the quarry hadn't really got going then.
No.
I mean, years later, be quite honest, when we started smoking a fag, we used to go at night time. We'd go round down to the quarry and sit by where they were burning the stone.
Ah, for the lime.
And it was all glowing, and we'd sit down there for heat.
Ooh.
And we'd have
The fumes from that might not have been too good.
No, was it?
Oh
We
gosh, didn't know it.
fumes,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
There was 3 or 4 of these
limestone.
limestone
Wow.
kilns.
Yeah,
Can't think of it.
yeah, because
And then
there's
underneath them, there was where they got the
extracted lime.
limestones out that
Yeah,
was ready done, like
yeah,
ready cooked.
yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a better job working as a gardener then, actually, doesn't it? Being in that than to being in that. So how come you stayed in Wenlock then when you didn't go back to Liverpool? What made you stay on?
Parents came a couple of years later, and when they seen Wenlock, I said, "We're not going back,"
Ah,
because all our area was bombed.
so they came and stayed
They
as well.
came and stayed.
Oh,
We
yeah,
had,
yeah.
here's a little one for you. It was called Rousel, and its correct name is St Milburgers Road.
Ah,
Down there,
yeah,
we lived
yeah,
at number 1.
yeah.
There was 5 evacuee families lived there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see they bricked the frame. There's only one house there now.
Oh,
That's all one house.
all one house.
There's 5.
It was 5 down where it's called Wimperis Well, isn't it, down there? But it's St Milburgers Road.
St.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
well at the bottom.
yeah, yeah. Oh, so you live down there?
Yes, they bricked them up now, and they say it's only one house. It's amazing. There was 5
Gosh.
evacuee families in there. We were number 1.
Ah,
And out they went. They were all derelict houses. That's how we got them.
right.
Oh, they were derelict.
Yeah.
There was an attic there. You couldn't use it because the slates were off the roof.
So you had to do a little bit of house repair and be a
Yeah.
jack of all trades.
I'll tell you a bad memory. I ran away from Mrs. Jones's, that's 5 Queen Street, the black and white house, a few times. Didn't like. She was always. They didn't like us. Always getting the cane and slapping. So Mr. Wolf was the chap that looked after he was the billeting officer. So he said, there's only one place to stand the bull ring at the Downs Mill.
Yeah.
Well, when we took us down the Downs Mill, 4 of us, and the cottages on the one side, really nice.
Yeah.
Not old-fashioned cottages, not like they are now.
Yeah, there's
And
just
on this
2 big
side,
houses
on
now.
the side was a couple of shacks,
Really?
and they were like stables and
Yeah.
chickens and
Yeah.
God knows what. So they made a bed up in there for us. And the bed was sacks of straw,
Oh.
and she put a tarpaulin over us at night.
Yeah.
At night time, the chickens would come and perch on the beams above us. And we had great fun dodging.
I bet you did.
Plop.
So you were in with the chickens in the chicken coop.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh dear.
And there were still bits of wood lying about it possibly from the wheel.
Ah. Yeah, because I mean, it's amazing when you go down there now, and of course you've got the little brook running. It's beautiful, isn't it? They're 2 big, quite big houses, but were the cottages on the left, did you say? Where the
Yes.
garages are?
Yes.
Ah, that's interesting, isn't it, to know?
After a few years, a fella called Bill Phillips took it over, and he had all his implements there. Different
Right.
tractors and farms and different things like that, all parked in where we used to sleep.
There's a really interesting footpath actually when you come over the brook, over the little bridge, and carry on as if you're going to go down to Bradley Farm at Wyke. So you go through the Kissing Gate, and instead of going straight on, if you go left into the field, you'd follow where the brook went. I've walked through there a couple of times, and there's an old trackway down there, and there used to be some sort of pumping station. There's a little brick building, and it looks like it was something to do with, again, regulating the water. I can't find out anything about that. It's not a public footpath, but it obviously was a trackway. Do you remember that at all?
There's no building there now, is there?
No, it's not a big building. It's just like a little brick. It looks like almost like a little brick shed or
brick or
broad
stone.
brick. I think it's partly. I think it was partly red brick.
There was an old stone
quite covered over.
there. It was only about that high, but
Yeah.
it had all been all tumbled down.
I think this is
It was
what
just on the right-hand side of that footpath going up to the Kissing Gate from the little bridge across the water.
Yeah, I know. No, not that one. I know the one you mean with the stone ruin. So if you've gone up past you come across the brook, go straight on, and then you get to the Kissing Gate. So you've got Downs Farm on your right, and if you went straight on, you'd end up at Bradley Farm on the White Road.
Yeah.
But instead of going straight on, the field on the left, the hedgerows full now, but I used to be able to walk through the middle quite easily. And then you follow the row of trees along on the left, and then you dip down into the bit where the brook's going, where it comes out at the old stables near the old railway, near the old railway as it comes in from the main road. In that woodland there's a very definite track cut into the trees, and it goes down and it follows the path of the stream, and somewhere in there, because it's quite overgrown now, it's about 8 years since I went in there was a little brick. It looked almost like a little toilet, a privy or something, but it had some pipes in it, and I think it was something to do with the pumping station, and I don't know what that was or what that was for. I don't know anybody that's walked in there, because I've asked Bill.
We used to collect watercress from there.
Oh, did you?
I know where
Do you know where I mean? There was a trackway down there, but I can't work out where it was going.
There was a footpath up to what we call Gob's Proper.
That's a good name.
The cottages at the bottom of the lane.
Okay, yeah.
Across the field,
Yeah.
was the footpath to that
Right.
old cottage then.
Ah, so it must have just been maybe an old lane or something that went down there then. Don't know. I can't work out what that was, but it was a definite, it looked like a cutaway trackway, you know, as if somebody had been there with a horse and cart. It was wide enough for a cart.
Up Rosie Road, the first cottages you come to, as you pass the old gasworks that used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Behind there, field.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, about 30 yards from the back of their property, there was a great big well hole.
Ah. Is that going out towards the Bell Hole house?
Yes, up that
yes,
road.
yeah, I know people who live there,
But
yeah.
not that far.
Right.
Really the first two houses. Oh, it's one house now.
Yes, yes, that big house on the
That big
left,
one,
yeah.
Well, just behind their property,
Oh.
about 20 yards from their garden
Yeah.
into the field. There's this
Okay,
big-
there was a big well there as well.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I
And
was...
Mrs. Jones, where I,
Oh, yeah, where you used to live.
first.
Yeah, yeah.
they had a pump.
They had a pump as well.
And across the road, Hills Farm, it was Hills Farm.
Yeah, yeah.
They had a pump.
They had a pump as well.
The story with the pump, I ran away. The Americans come. Troops of Americans come to
Oh,
stay
dear,
at
in the war.
Blues,
Oh.
and they made a fuss of us evacuees.
Oh.
And we made friends with this one called Jake. And I ran away one night. And suddenly, I don't know how I found my way down to the camp.
Where was the camp?
Down Billowless.
Right,
that
okay.
area.
Okay.
And I got past the guards. No trouble for a scouse of them days. I got into a tent. And I rooted in this tent. And I found all these boxes, chocolate. And I gorged myself with the chocolate. Gorged myself.
Because chocolate would have
Till I
been
was
scarce,
ill.
wouldn't
Till I
it?
was ill. I was crying.
Gosh.
And one of the guards came in. What are you doing here? I said, I want Jake. Take me to Jake.
Oh.
It seems the Sheikh was a character, but anyway,
Yeah.
he came in. You stupid idiot. You know what you've been doing? That's the soldier's laxative.
Oh,
He
no.
took me home in the Jeep and it was running out of me.
And you thought you'd got some ration chocolate, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, my
'Cause it was
goodness.
dark, I couldn't see.
Yeah.
I couldn't even read then, never mind.
Oh,
anything else.
no.
Now then, you know these pumps,
Yeah, yeah,
the spout, a little hook on the end.
yeah.
She grabbed all of me, Mrs. Jones,
Oh,
and
and she...
hooked me over the braces, over the spout.
Oh, and just washed you off. Oh, my goodness. How old were you? You must have been only little.
8 or 9.
Oh,
That's
heck.
about all. And
Oh.
she put me in the pigsty to stop
Oh,
with the pigs.
no.
There a big pigsty there.
And did it actually taste nice like chocolate at the time to you?
Yeah,
when
it's
you were
really
eating it?
lovely,
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you see, sugar and chocolate would have
It was
been a
thin
real
slices like
rarity,
we
wasn't
used to
it?
get down the docks at Liverpool
Oh,
with a
no.
slot machine for a penny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were little thin, like that. It was
Oh,
thin
and you
stuff.
just ate so much of it. Oh, my goodness. That's a good... that's a story and a half, isn't it, to
Yeah.
remember? Oh,
Yeah.
you should write these down. You should have a little book, Jimmy, with all these stories. That's wonderful. I'm going to pause this video because I think we're going to chat for a bit longer anyway. But thank you ever so much. I'm so glad you came in because who would have known all these things about Wenlock if you hadn't have done? Oh, thank you.